Hey guys, so today we are going to work on converting between polar and rectangular coordinates today. So we're going to use the other two formulas that we had up on the board the other day. The x equals r cosine theta and y equals r times sine theta. So if you can write them down, I would do so now. Okay, so here we have the formulas again in case you didn't get a chance to get them down. Okay, and we're literally just going to use these and we're going to plug in the given information. Okay, you just have to be mindful of the directions. So here we're given it in polar, so that's r, and this is theta. Okay, and it's good to write that down so you know. And now we're going to write the two formulas down. We're going to be plugging in the 6 to r and obviously the 45 to theta. So you get 6 times cosine of 45. And then we're going to do the same for the y. So we'll get y equals 6 times the sine of 45. Okay, now the directions don't say to round, so this is where you have to be careful. Okay, so as you see, I'm going to the calculator, and what I'm doing is I'm just typing in our exact values, the square root of 2 over 2, which we get from our chart. Okay, and I just want you guys to write down the decimal equivalents because, now that you're using the calculator, sometimes it's helpful to know, like, well, if I got 707 as a decimal, what would that be equivalent to? And if you get 0.5, obviously you know that that's 1/2. And then the other one that we have in our chart is the square root of 3 over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and type that into the calculator. Okay, you might remember this from last year. Square root of 3 divided by 2 is 0.866. Okay, because if you're going to do these questions and use your calculator, you do have to know the decimal equivalent because you want to make sure that you write your answers using the square roots, okay, the exact values. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're now going to type in, first make sure your calculator is in degree mode, okay, and I'm going to just type in cosine 45, okay, and you notice that I get that 0.707. Okay, notice I did not type in the 6. Okay, so the 6 will bring down, okay, and I'm just jotting down that cosine of 45 was at 0.707. Okay, so we bring the 6 down. Now we're going to change the 0.707 to the exact value, which is square root of 2 over 2. And then obviously you want to make sure you reduce everything, always reduce. Okay, so you should get 3 square root of 2. Okay, and then we're going to do the exact same thing for now sine. Okay, so you could type in sine 45. Now again, you don't have to use the calculator. You could use your chart. Okay, but I'm just showing you that sometimes, you're always using the calculator now, so now it's like you want to use it. All right, and then, sine of 45 is going to be that square root of 2 over 2. And again, you want to make sure you reduce it. So you're going to get that y equals, again, 3 square root of 2. Okay, and just make sure that you do write this as a coordinate point. Okay, so you want to write it as 3 square root of 2, comma, 3 square root of 2. So the y value will be 3 square root of 2. And you did it. You did your first problem. Okay, next up, we're going to take a problem that has like a radian angle and it's negative. So we're going to write down again like our r and our theta and then plug them into the formula. Okay, so I plugged it into the cosine, and now I'll do the y value, which is negative 3 times the sine of negative 5 pi over 2. Squeeze that in over there. Sorry about that one. Okay. So one of the biggest things is the angle is an angle that you might not recognize. So we can just easily take that angle and change it to degrees. Sometimes it's easier to work in degrees now. I know we've worked in radian for a while, but doing these, it's kind of easier. So substitute 180 physically into pi. All right, now show that onto the calculator over here. You'll plug that in. And divide it by 2. And this will give you your angle in degrees. Now you can keep it as an angle smaller than 360 because again, we're going to utilize our calculator to help us here. So you're going to get that this is negative 3 times the cosine of negative 450. Ed wrote everything down for you, and now we're going to go right to the calculator. And again, I'm only going to type in the cosine part. So I do the cosine of negative 450, and I see that it's 0. So you're going to have negative 3 times 0. It's good to not type everything in because you won't know if you get one of the special like exact value decimals. So just take each part individually. So now you have negative 3 times the sine of negative 450. So you go to your calculator, sine negative 450, and you're going to see that it gives you negative 1. Okay, so you're going to get that y is equal to 3. And again, after you get done, you want to write it as a coordinate point. So you're going to write it as 0, 3. Great job. So on your own, I want you guys to do 3 and 4. And we're going to look at number 5 together, which gives you the angle in radian measure. So again, our r is going to be that square root of 2, and theta now is 2.36 radians. So personally, I would convert the radians to degree measure because you can change your calculator to radian mode if you want. But again, you just want to make sure that if you change it to radians, you got to make sure you change it back. So if you think you forget to do that, we're going to take this 2.36 and we're just going to times it by 180 divided by pi. And this will convert the radian angle into a degree angle. So now you see that this is equivalent to 135 degrees approximately. Okay, so I'm going to write down that angle. Okay, now, when you're using the calculator, don't forget you want to use the full decimal. Don't round anything until the end. Okay, so I'm going to do the setup for the X and the Y. So I have it all set up. And now I'm going to go back to that screen so you can see it. But what we're going to type in is we're going to type in the full expression here because we are rounding. But notice that I grab the full angle. So it's square root of 2 times the cosine of that full angle, okay? Don't round here. And remember to always show me the decimals before you're going to round for your final answer, just in case you make a little error. Okay, so this one I want you to round to the nearest thousandth. So that's 3 decimal places, right? So x would equal negative 1.004. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for the sine value, right? We're going to type the whole expression in. I don't know if you know this with your calculator, but I'm going to go grab the cosine one and then scroll over so that the cursor is on top of the word cosine, and then hit sine, and it saves you from just retyping all that. Okay, and now you see that what this decimal is equivalent to. Okay, and again, write at least 4 or 5 decimals down, and now we're going to round to the nearest thousandth. So y will equal 0.996. And these look a little weird because we are in a radian type of measure. So they're a little bit different than your other answers. Okay, so great job. All right. So now, what you're going to have to do, okay, is I want you to pick 2 problems from the red and 2 from the blue. And I want you to work on them, okay? I'll post all this up into Google Classroom, and have an awesome day.